On this video, let's talk about beginning dating and how sexual relating can confuse our nervous system. I'm Alan Robarge, an attachment-focused psychotherapist and a relationship educator, and I like to talk about how to heal attachment trauma and also improve our relationships. And this video is linked to what I'm calling the dating series. It's not numbered, they're not numbered, it's not an exact number of videos, but for me, as I write down ideas, as I film them, as I organize them, I'm making them in a number of videos on this topic of just beginning dating, specifically for those of us with attachment injuries, attachment wounds, or those wounds and injuries showing up as the symptoms of attachment trauma. And that if you happen to fall into that category, like me and like many others, that we can then normalize this reality that insecurely attached dysfunctional behaviors and dynamics and trying to get our needs met while managing attachment distress, it's very common. And if it's so common, then we need to be transparent and open about sharing these ideas, specifically with a partner. Now, this can be challenging when you meet a new partner because some of us like to hide. Some of us don't want to reveal ourselves. We don't want to share our feelings. We don't want to talk about, hey, you know what? I have attachment wounds. And it really influences how I show up in relationships. Now, I know that that is not rare. I know that that is not unique to me. It's very, very common that a number of us come from a history of insecure attachment. And so that means that we are much more sensitive to this bonding process. We're much more sensitive to building trust and safety. We're much more sensitive to intimacy, the frequency of intimacy, the frequency of vulnerability, and the frequency of how we come together and we feel a sense of closeness, and then how we also separate and we feel a sense of distance and separation before we then negotiate coming back together. Now, couples what we have to figure out very early on, and this is going to be challenging, in the sense challenging to hear it, because some of us are going to hear it and we're going to already know the truth. And a lovely symptom of attachment trauma is distorting reality. We have the ability to override reality. We override seeing red flags. We override our own wants and needs. And we try to make a relationship work that's just not working. Make a relationship work that we have chosen the wrong partner, and yet we're telling ourselves, yeah, okay, let's just keep going and see if it changes, see if they change, and in the meantime, all of this concern and the conclusion that I don't really think this is a good fit, we have a much higher tolerance to live in this place of not getting our attachment needs met. And it's what I call misplaced loyalty. It's having this extreme sense of tolerance, the ability to tolerate not getting your attachment needs met. So can you see how this is dangerous? If we have the ability to distort reality, we have the ability to deny red flags, and we have a propensity, we have a tolerance for going for long periods of time where we do not get our attachment needs met. Well, all of those together are going to say it's very easy to create a relationship with the wrong person, to create the wrong type of relationship with the wrong person, and yet to stay way too long and not be able to have the discernment and the skill to see and map out these patterns and say, hey, wait a minute, this is just not good for me. So a number of you, us watching this, hearing this, we might just know that what we're talking about is a scenario, a dating situation with someone who this is not good for us and they're not the right partner for us. But we're going to hang in there and we're going to still try to override reality or for a while to just to make sure, you're sure that they're not going to change, we're not going to change, it's not going to change, the relationship's not going to change. What happens often is very quickly resentment enters. And this resentment can show up as game playing, that when our attachment needs are not met, we have a strong reaction to want to pull away and shut the other person out. Now, we might not be doing this for purposes of being a jerk. We might not be doing this for purposes of hurting the other person. We're actually overwhelmed with our own vulnerability, but we also simultaneously do not have language or awareness of how to make sense of our new attraction for this person that we're seeing. We don't quite have the ability to fully feel the depth of, wow, I am attracted to this person. I do have feelings for them. And that feels great and simultaneously scary. And it's that scary part that takes over. And instead of saying to ourselves, hey, I'm feeling a little fear here, I'm feeling a lot of fear. And instead of being able to verbalize that and take that to this person, this lovely new person that we're obviously attracted to, and say, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm noticing, I'm really feeling like we're getting close and it's going great. And while I simultaneously get close to you, I'm also noticing it brings up some fear and it creates internalized confusion of whether or not I can trust the fact that I'm attracted to you, whether or not I can trust that you're reciprocating and showing me attention or affection. What confuses all of this even more, a number of us invite sexual interaction, sexual relating, very early on. Now, at face value, I'm just going to say, well, isn't that wonderful? As human beings who are sexual and you make a choice, hey, you want to be sexual? Sure, why not? Wonderful. However, those of us with attachment injuries, attachment wounds, and attachment trauma, the symptoms of trauma that show up in our relationship dynamics, that the sexual relating creates an attachment hormonal cocktail. And we can very quickly become bonded and connected to this person. Now, if we just met, we haven't gone out that much, and we've decided as two adults to say, you know what, let's bring, wouldn't it be fun to explore sexual relating with each other? Perfectly a logical idea. Who doesn't want to do that? But those of us with attachment wounds, we can very quickly overwhelm ourselves and confuse ourselves. And we can invite deeper levels of fear, which is the opposite of what we want. We want sexual relating to create deeper levels of intimacy and learning about each other and playfulness and adventure and just being able to connect. And then unfortunately what happens is that how our attachment system works, our nervous systems are linking up. We're literally, very close together. Our bodies are together. And what's happening is a lot of hormones and processes in our brain, our nervous system is noticing a connection, creating a connection with this person. Now, let me really illuminate what's happening here is that this person is a stranger. Now you can say, oh, they're nice, they're a good person, I've known them for 2 weeks, I've known them for 3 weeks, they're not a stranger. No, they're pretty much a stranger. So what's happening is we're moving forward, strengthening a connection, and we're creating an attachment to a stranger. And for those of us who are very fearful already because we don't know if we can trust intimacy, we don't know if we can trust vulnerability, we don't know if it does really feel safe. Is this person here for me? Is this person going to just bail and leave? Is this person just going to fall apart and exit whenever there's some stress and tension between us? Or is this person also going to take their own discomfort and direct it at us in the form of aggression? And are they going to try to control the relationship because they're so feeling out of control emotionally within themselves? We do not know any of this. And yet we're moving forward by allowing our brain and allowing our attachment through the nervous system, our attachment system, to get attached to someone who we really don't know if they're safe. And we can't really trust them because literally we do not know them. A rather short period of time has unfolded. So this video, I am not going to go as far as to say, therefore you cannot have sex. You got to be an adult and make that choice. I'm also aware there's a group of us within this, what I'm talking about, who even though we know this, we will not have a boundary. We will not slow down pursuing sexual interaction, sexual relating. I am just aware. As a therapist, I've heard many, many stories that there's some of us who know this information and say, I really don't think that it's good to confuse my nervous system. I don't really think that it's good to strengthen an attachment bond with someone I don't even really know who's a stranger, and to then go through the behaviors of deep trust with someone that we haven't built a foundation of trust that inherently is confusing, is going to create more attachment distress. I am aware a number of us who know that this happens. We still are not going to take a step back and put sexual relating on hold. So therefore, I'm talking to all of us, and in this moment say, well, if you do move forward with sex, and I know many of you are, be prepared and pay attention to, you are potentially inviting distorting reality and creating a stronger attachment bond to someone who you don't really know if it merits that level of attachment. And that's also why early on relationships can be so incredibly painful and confusing, and when they don't work out and they end relatively quickly, it's very, very painful because our attachment system, we have allowed ourselves to get attached, and the sexual relating reinforces that attachment. And then if perhaps we realize, I don't think that this person is for me. They're nice, I enjoy them, we've had a good time together, but wow, they are not communicating, or wow, they are not emotionally open, or wow, they just are not listening when we are in a process of back and forth exchange of beginning to show curiosity for each other and share emotional responsiveness. And we realize, oh, wow, this is really one-sided. I'm the one who's doing the creating the invitations and bids for connection. I'm the one who's being emotionally open. I'm the one who's inviting connection. And it's actually, there's not a back and forth. There's not a shared emotional responsiveness. It's very, very one-sided. But if we have already strengthened the attachment bond and feel a sense of closeness and connection with this person, we're immediately in a dilemma. We've managed to become attached now to someone who we can also see they're not able to meet us where we're at. They're not showing up where we are. And that's when you have to make the choice. Is this the type of person that you want to be in a relationship with? Many of us say yes because we already say, well, but I feel connected. I feel attached. I feel this bond. And it might not be that that bond is really that reliable. I understand it can feel strong, but we might be able to, at face value, say it's not really a reliable sense of connection. It's a result of having rushed into sexual relating. Empathy to you if this video speaks to you. Empathy to you if you're struggling, just started dating. It's a wonderful, exciting time, and you think that you found someone who's a potential person to start to build a relationship with, and then simultaneously, I think it's really sad. I consider, I got to say this cautiously. I'm not saying you're cursed. I'm not saying I'm cursed. But I do feel like it is a bit of it's an unfortunate curse that when I start to get close to someone, the intimacy and the vulnerability are in fact the gateways to activating attachment distress. It activates fear. It activates great confusion. It can activate a sense of what's called primal panic. This intense feeling of needing a reassurance that this person that we've started to be vulnerable with is really here for us, because we have a history of people not really being here for us emotionally. It could be literally, also physically not there, but a number of us have attachment injuries and attachment wounds because that even though there was some interacting and proximity and closeness, there was still this emotional disconnected and emotional absence. And for many of us, when we start dating, that gets triggered and activated, and all of a sudden then we're not focusing on dating and get to know the other person. Now we're managing this intense feeling of emotional attachment distress. So I consider that it's so distracting from what we really want to do, which is build trust and safety and experiment in the positive sense of intimacy and vulnerability. But what ends up happening is that very intimacy and vulnerability actually frighten us and can trigger some of these old memories and the attachment trauma symptoms related to the emotional disconnects from our past. Thank you for listening to this video. It's part of what I'm calling a dating series, which means there's going to be some more videos just like this one or the same topic. I'm not necessarily numbering them, but for my notes and how I organize the content, I'm calling it a dating series. And do all the things, and you know what I'm talking about. We've heard 800. Every YouTube video says, click like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And if you do, it really helps others find this video. It really helps promote this channel. And if you felt that my time, effort, and the content I'm sharing is helpful, then please help me out and share this video with others. Thank you so much. More videos on the way.